What's up, folks? We have a jam-packed show for you today. 23andMe apparently got hacked and gave up the information to 6.9 million users. Jorge Ventura reported that Chinese nationals are appearing at the border with what seems like pretty nice luggage. We're going to talk about that. Governor Abbott says he's going to sign some new law to make it illegal for illegal immigrants to come to Texas. Why didn't he think about that 3 years ago? Some house exploded in Washington, D.C. as the police were trying to go in for a warrant. Pretty crazy story. We're going to talk about that. Conor McGregor flirts running for the president of Ireland. We'll absolutely talk about that. And if you remember in Atlanta, the Wendy's that got set on fire, apparently the rioters who did it got a $500 fine and a plea deal. That's pretty insane. They're running headlines saying conservatives are outraged. I wonder why. Lots of stories, folks. Jam-packed news day. God bless you. Dream Rare Podcast starts now.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of the Dream Rare Podcast. I have about 5 stories to get through, so I want to go pretty quickly and not linger too much, but I will change the title. I said DC explosion, but the house is in Arlington, Virginia, outside of DC, so that's going to be changed after the podcast. Don't worry. All right, let's look at the first story. I did an Instagram, TikTok sort of thing about the 23andMe data leak. There were 6.9 million customers who had their data leaked, and I explain it pretty simply in this minute clip. It sums it up. So I'm going to play it real quick, then we'll get to the next story. The genetics company 23andMe has been hacked and it breached 6.9 million users' info. 6.9, haha, get it? Just kidding. Including some health data. Let's dive into the story. Some 6.9 million 23andMe customers had their data compromised after an anonymous hacker accessed user profiles and posted them for sale on the internet earlier this year. The compromised data included users' ancestry information as well as, for some users, health-related information based on their genetic profiles, the company said in an email. Are they going to clone you? What are they going to do with your information? Just kidding. Sort of. Anyway, apparently at first they reached only 14,000 users, but since many users chose to share their information with people they're genetically related to, the hacker was able to access information of millions more. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also, did you know the CEO of 23andMe is the sister of the longtime CEO of YouTube who just stepped down? Interesting. Follow me for more short news clips and watch my podcast for a more in-depth discussion. Yeah, pretty crazy. So 23andMe gains a lot of people's genetics. This is why I always didn't want to do it. I do want to know more about my family history. I just never wanted to give these companies my data, especially once I realized that the sister of YouTube CEO, who I guess recently is gone, like within the last month or two, they have a new CEO, but Susan Wojcicki, this is her sister who owns it. So what if that gets into the hands of people? I don't want everybody to be paranoid or everything or anything, because they already have all of our data and a lot of information. But, just something to think about. Even when I go to certain businesses and they say, oh, do you want me to keep your card on file? Now I always say no, because I see all these data breaches and leaks and hacks. And it's like, I don't need my card in 1,000 different places. I've already had my information taken earlier this year. I think a lot of people have dealt with that. So I try to keep my information off of as many places as I possibly can. I'm not super paranoid about it or anything. Usually the banks kind of back you up and help you out. But, when it comes to your genetics, what if those got into the hands of people who hate you ethnically? What if all that information, having that much information on people's genetics is a really slippery slope. And you see now, especially over the last few months, if not last couple of years, you do see a lot of, dare I say, genocidal behavior from some people, as far as just like brutal ethnic hatred for certain groups. And you could read between the lines however you want, or connect the dots on that however you think that they should be connected. But, interesting stuff, to say the least, that they lost access or got hacked for a lot of different stuff. Just, at bare minimum, this stuff happens all the time now, hacks and leaks, and I don't know what to say. That's the new era. It is what it is. I wouldn't be too paranoid about it or scared or anything. Just a news story that probably is worth sharing. Here's the next story. It was an Arlington, Virginia house exploded. So, a home near Washington, D.C. exploded as police responded to reports of more than 30 flare gunshots fired. If you haven't seen the clip, I didn't want to get demonetized, and Facebook and YouTube are psychotic, so I didn't show it. But a home exploded in Arlington, Virginia, Monday night as police were trying to execute a search warrant, sending the building up in flames with the suspect still inside and prompting the evacuation of several nearby houses. Police are investigating the circumstances of the explosion. Police then learned that the suspect had discharged the flare gun about 30 to 40 times from his home into the surrounding neighborhood. So they're saying it involved a flare gun. If you find this video, I'm sure half of you have probably already seen it. It looks like can't really explain it. It looks like a crazy explosion. It doesn't look like a small one, and it doesn't look like a random one. I don't really have a theory to tell you. I've been looking at users who understand fire and explosions better than I do. And there are people theorizing that this seems like it was a bigger thing than they're saying. I'm not an expert at explosions. So I would say check out some of the theories if you're interested in why. The chances of the media telling us the truth about this are close to zero, maybe 50% at best. But unfortunately, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they'll say. And I don't really have much to say about it. I'll definitely keep my eyes peeled on credible people that I trust that talk about this sort of thing, because it's a pretty crazy explosion, but it's a pretty crazy world and a pretty crazy country. Speaking of which, this is the third story. I know I'm kind of rapid firing. Some people like that, some people don't, but I have a bunch of things I want to get through. This is my buddy Jorge Ventura, who's a great border reporter. He got this footage of Chinese nationals at the border with what looks like really nice luggage. And the first couple seconds is just footage of our wall not working in a different spot. Why does our wall suck so bad? I don't get it. Here's Jorge's footage. It's a bunch of like Chinese military aged nationals with like super nice luggage. What are they doing at our border? Um, it's crazy. I mean, it's just crazy that our borders open. It's crazy that America's starting all these conflicts or getting involved in these conflicts in Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia. And if you're going to do all the stuff that America's doing, you would at least think like, this is how you know the people who run this country absolutely despise us. Like, you could disagree with foreign policy, but say you're against the war in Ukraine and in Russia, and you're against the war in Israel and Palestine, but you're like, or maybe you're for it. You're for both. Let's just say you're for both of the wars. You're like, we need to do this because we need to save Russia and Israel, whatever. Don't you think we should secure our border extra hard at a time that we're getting involved in foreign conflicts? The fact that the Biden administration is leaving it this wide open, it just proves that the people running this country, whoever that may be, we know it's not Biden, they clearly hate us. They clearly don't care about us, and they clearly want something bad to happen, or they just want us to suffer economically, financially, crime-wise. Like, they're not helping do any justice in any reason. It's like, why would the border be so open that there's like nice luggage looking, probably wonderful Chinese folk from China just at our border? Because our border's a joke and everybody knows this, so it's an easy way to get in. Thank goodness they got stopped. I'm sure for every one of them that get stopped, there's probably ones that don't. Speaking of jokes, as much as I want to just blame Joe Biden because he sucks, I do believe, and I talk about it here a lot, that the Republican Party is essentially controlled opposition, because Governor Abbott is talking about a new law he's going to pass that's going to make it illegal for illegal immigrants to come into Texas and give the police officers authority to arrest them. And here's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it's like, if this does work, let's just say he passes it and it works, why didn't you do it 3 years ago? Like, if this works, this just shows that Governor Abbott's pretty much controlled opposition, because Biden's been in office for 3 years now, and he's never passed this law. And now he's going to pass this law. It's insane. Here's the clip from Maria Bartiromo. I sped it up and chopped it up because copyright laws are insane. But here's essentially what he's saying.
Maria, in 2 weeks, I'll be citing a new law in the state of Texas that will make it illegal for people to enter the state of Texas from another country illegally, and authorizing every peace officer in the state of Texas to arrest those people entering our country.
A new law. He's going to pass a new law that makes it illegal for illegals to come in. Wow, dude, it took you 3.5 years to draft that up? I don't understand. Am I supposed to does anybody understand why that took him so long? Like, I don't know. What a joke. Let me know what you think in the comments. This next story, I want to just rapid fire through real quick. These rioters that burned down a Wendy's, a lot of people probably saw that a couple years ago. There was some reaction to a police killing or some sort of event where people went crazy. And two people burned down a Wendy's and they got a $500 fine. And this is in the same area that they're charging Trump with all these insane things. So I think that's going to make extra backlash on the already like liberals are insane and stupid backlash. Here it is. So Newsweek is reporting that rioters' $500 fine for burning down a Wendy's sparks outrage. I wonder why. Conservatives are outraged after two people charged with burning down a Wendy's restaurant in Atlanta in the summer of 2020 were just fined $500 each. Kingston and White accepted plea deals. I guess they burned it down after a fatal shooting of Rashard Brooks, a 27-year-old black man. Both pleaded guilty to charges including arson in the first degree. A $500 fine for burning down a Wendy's. I mean, you get bigger fines for doing like nothing. It's just crazy. I don't know how liberals think that they're going to keep their cities afloat that way, but every criminal and every psycho is looking at that and being like, $500. I mean, that's cheaper than some flat screen TVs. Like it's a piece of cake. And you could make up that money if you live in a liberal area and you steal under $1,000 worth of stuff, get away with it. Now you have $999 worth of free stuff because liberals don't prosecute you. Then you commit a thing and get $500. It's like, I just made $450 and burned down a Wendy's and got free stuff. It's like such a joke. These county DAs in Atlanta and San Francisco and LA, and it's beyond nuts. Next story real quick. Conor McGregor, he wrote this on Twitter. He said, potential competition if I run. Jerry, 78, Birdie, 75, Enda, 74, each with unbreakable ties to their individual parties' politics, regardless of what the public outside of their parties feel. These parties govern themselves versus govern the people, or me, 35 years old, young, active, passionate, fresh skin in the game. I listen, I support, I adapt. I have no affiliation, bias, favoritism towards any party. They would genuinely be held to account regarding the current sway of public feeling. I'd even put it all to vote. There'd be votes every week to make sure I can fund. Every week to make sure I can fund. Sorry, those were separate things. It would be not me in power as president, but the people of Ireland. It would be me and you. Prayer emoji, Irish flag emoji. So Conor is flirting the idea of running for the president of Ireland. Two things. One, if he ran, he'd probably win. He's super popular, especially in Ireland, I would say. Number two, I don't know if he's serious, because if you guys don't follow Conor McGregor, I want to let you know I'm a huge Conor McGregor fan. He's the most iconic person in MMA and UFC history. I love the guy. I think he's hilarious. But this last year or so, he's been injured, so he's been out. He talks a lot. Like he wants to fight this person and that person. After every fight, he says he'll do this, he'll do that. So I don't take his word that seriously. It's not that I don't trust the guy or anything. I think eventually he may run for president. I hope he does. I wish Ireland would put him in. I think he'd do a better job. But he's been saying a lot of stuff recently in the press, like this, that, this. So it's hard to really pin down what he really means or if he's just trying to put his name out there. But one day, maybe he will run. Maybe he is fed up and maybe that's his next path. I think he would win easily, and that would be really interesting, to say the least. This last thing I have is just for comedy reasons, and then I'm going to read a few comments and keep this one pretty brief today. Hopefully you guys enjoy a short one. This is just a poll I found on Twitter that I thought was funny. A user named Taylor Day said, what's the biggest threat to you? 21% of people voted Hamas, 8% voted Israel, 71% voted woman drivers. So it's official, folks. This is democracy. Woman drivers are the biggest threat to you. Imagine if that were an election and you had to eat the results. No, I'm just kidding. I just thought it was pretty funny. Apparently they follow me too, so they have good taste. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments about any story that I covered today. I'll go over any of your comments. I do have a huge opinion about our border and Governor Abbott and what's going on there and Biden. As far as the house explosion in Virginia, let me know what you guys think of that. I'll read a few comments, go off of what you say. Obviously, the rioters only getting $500. That's crazy. The 23andMe, let me know what you think about that. That's definitely pretty nutty. Let's see what you guys are saying. Someone said if there's a fair election in Ireland, I think Connor would win, but I don't know. Someone said woman drivers are a threat. Now they know what a woman is. It's a good point. What is a woman? What is a car? What is a driver? What is a highway? We're profound out here. We don't know anything. All I know is I know nothing. Literally, even words don't mean nothing to me now. I'm a good liberal. Someone said woman drivers are crazy. We'd be good at NASCAR. LOL. Well, Danica Patrick was in NASCAR. That was pretty cool. Why do I think it exploded? I haven't done like deep diving research enough. I've only kind of scraped the headlines, so I don't know. I mean, it's just a crazy thing to happen. Like the police come to a house for an arrest and the whole house explodes. Like that's just nuts. I would have to do more research and kind of listen to more opinions to really have a stance on it. But all I know is it's not nothing, like even if it is a harmless story, it's not a harmless story. It's like someone blew his house up purposely by mistake. They blew it up. It blew up. I don't know. I really don't know what to think of it. I missed the 23andMe. 23andMe is a genetics company, and they had a leak, and the leak involved 6.9 million users' health data, some customer data. It's just interesting because that they hold the key to your genetic history and your ancestors. So I just wonder what the hackers would do with that. Hopefully just advertising. They want to make money and sell it to people, but still, we're entering a world where privacy doesn't really exist. And it is what it is. There's pros and cons to that, but I wouldn't want my genetic info out there if I could have the option. And even with, like I said, credit cards or debit cards, it's like, I try not to keep stuff on file because it's like, oh, keep it on my file. It's like, well, how secure is your file? You got to give it to everyone all the time. Everybody wants your info. It's like, I don't trust you to not lose that. Oh, we got hacked. My bad. It's like, yeah, I'm sure you will. It's so I'd rather just keep it in less places if I have the option. Someone said now his career is over. Connor, after getting rich and powerful, the kind of gangster guy who will take 100% bribes and smile about it. I don't think Connor would take bribes, but I don't know. Someone said 23andMe is BlackRock. Possibly. I don't know. Do they own a big stake in that, or do they just own everything? Someone said, LOL, that's funny. I happen to be a very good driver with no speeding tickets. Let's check the men anomaly. I have to say, as somebody that's not afraid to call gender as I see it, I do know a lot of good woman drivers in my life. I'm not going to lie. You know what I'm saying? There are bad ones, but in my personal circle, there's a lot of good female drivers. So I don't want to just disrespect the women, but on average, they don't do as well in NASCAR. But, I think there's a lot of moms out there that crush it. They check both ways. They have good coordination skills. They use their blinkers. I know some guys who can't drive, and I know some women who can. I just thought the poll was funny. Someone said, I don't trust doctors taking my blood anymore. It's really creepy after the pandemic. It's like there's certain things that I want to get checked with a doctor, but I don't really trust them. It's hard to trust a doctor after all the nonsense they go through and the compliance that they have, and how they've shown that they will listen to things that don't even make sense. So yeah, I hear you. Someone said, if women are such bad drivers, why is men insurance higher? It's a good point. I think men drive crazier probably. Women are possibly more responsible behind the wheel, and men, they got to be like, oh, look how fast I can go. You might be right. I mean, if men's insurance is higher, that's probably based off data, meaning men mess up more, You have a point. I'm not a sexist. I love all 10 billion genders. If I find a new gender, if I'm in the Amazon forest and I find a new gender, I get so excited because I'm like, I just discovered something new. Just wait until the Berkeley professor hears about this. Wait till my college professors hear that I discovered a new gender in the Amazon. It's the three, they have two-spirited. What about three-spirited? What about eight-spirited? You're in 8 different ways. You're totally not mentally ill or anything. It's just you have 8 different genders at once coming through you. Now that's a discovery that would make Charles Darwin jealous, or not. I'm sorry, Facebook, please don't demonetize me. I'm sorry. I'll go on an apology tour. I swear I'll go listen to the voices of all the unheard. Someone said, "What are you saying now? Don't play into that even as a joke." Yeah, jokes are off limits now. You can't joke now. You're going to censor my jokes. Free speech though, right? Cool. Um Someone said, "I'm a good driver. I've steered out of several situations." I love it. Now all the women are like, "I'm a good driver, I swear." I'm like, "I believe you." I'm just challenging. You have no volume on the Facebook Live. I don't think that's true. People are responding on Facebook. No one said that. You're on YouTube saying that. You might be a plant. You might be a YouTube plant to throw me off. Let me see. You're more likely to find a cross dresser in the Amazon. Are you sure? Is that where they stay? Let me see. Someone said, "I thought the sister of YouTube owned 23andMe." She does. Big companies getting hacked is merely a behind door deal that allows hackers to infiltrate their system so they could do things with the data that's illegal but won't be blamed on 23andMe, says Ian. Could be. Absolutely could be. I mean, it's an interesting thought. Someone said Elon's the free speech Trojan horse. I have a new rule with people like Elon and Trump and Ron and Don and all and Joe, but Joe doesn't really do much for me. Don't have expectations for these people and don't put your like godlike faith into them. So then if Elon does some cool things, you can appreciate it. But then if he ever caves and turns on you, you won't be surprised and you'll be able to call it out. The problem is when people put their whole like sports team like obsession or like spouse like obsession into Trump or into Elon, and then they do something weird, but people don't want to point it out because they like them too much and they put their faith into them. That seems to be the issue. So with Elon, there's a lot of things that I like that he does. There's a lot of things that I don't like necessarily, but I appreciate the things that he has done. And to me, they're like bonuses because I don't really expect that much out of Elon. He could have been like a Bill Gates and never said anything real. So I feel like he's on borrowed, like I appreciate it. But if he turns tomorrow and does the craziest anti-free speech stuff, I'm not going to be surprised. Nick with a $50 super chat. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. What if China sent some people across the border knowing they would get caught? They know that just as with COVID, our authoritarian leaders will overreact and do more damage to us as a people, our economy, and our freedoms. That's interesting. I mean, I don't rule anything out. Thanks for the super chat too, Nick. Anything's possible because even with the border, the one thing after the Israel and Palestine like conflict, after that happened, everybody was like, all these like Dan Bongino types were like, "Oh my gosh, the border, terrorists, terrorists, terrorists." It was like 9/11 again. Terrorists, terrorists, terrorists. We got to kill them. Terrorists, terrorists. And they're like trying to freak you out. And it's like, I mean, it's definitely not out of the ruling because there's like a million people who came across the border. It's too easy. But on the other hand, it seems like that would play into the hands of the neocon type Republicans and, our great allies and such. If we can just like scaremonger all these Republicans into thinking that there's going to be a terrorist attack on American soil, there could be, but also if there was, that would gain more support for the war that they already wanted to start and they've already started. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just throwing it out there to use a different country. Say the public didn't support Ukraine versus Russia and there wasn't enough support to get the funding. And then Russia does a terrorist attack in America. And now all of a sudden we want to send our money to Ukraine. It's like, I think about those things as well. So it's like most Republicans are just playing like 2D chess. And I'm just thinking like 5D chess, where it's like if that happened, that would help the people that want to do what they're already doing. And they're losing public support anyway. So, it's like, yes, that could happen. But the fact that every Republican that's pro-Israel is saying it at once, all at the same time. And then I listen to like certain politicians in that country and they're like, if you don't help us now, there will be a terrorist attack in your country. If you don't help us now, you will face it too. They're not coming for you. They're coming for you. And, it's like, it's the same rhetoric as I would say the George Bush era. But to me, I hear that differently. I hear it as like, okay, if we don't give everything that they want right now, then like something might happen. Like I hear what they're saying, but I kind of take it in a different way. So I don't know. When it comes to the Chinese nationals at the border, it could be anything. And, It's just like in China, was it, or Taiwan or whatever? In Taiwan, when there were all these people waving American flags and such, and like Mike Pompeo was retweeting it, it could be real. People in Taiwan do like America, but also to me, it looked like it could be like a CIA thing, because it's like Mike Pompeo used to be the CIA director, and now he's the Secretary of State. And if he's retweeting like a protest in Taiwan, it's like it could be organic and he just likes it, or it could be, his work. I have no idea. I'm not saying it is, but that's just kind of how I see stuff. I don't see it so basic. And Enes Kanter's like that too. He came out and changed his name to Freedom, and he's like, I'm Enes Freedom Kanter, and he just sounds like a neocon Republican. And then, everybody's making fun of me for not thinking he's awesome. All these Republicans are like, oh, Enes Freedom Kanter, the basketball player that just hates China. Wow, he's so authentic. Wow, he's the only NBA player that calls China. And then 3 weeks later, he posts a selfie with like a CIA guy, and he's like, look, I'm hanging out with my guy. And it's like, I already knew, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm always like a couple of months ahead. Like I could just tell by how he was acting and stuff. It's just like, he's just saying like generic talking points, and like, there's two sides of each story. So it's like, you say this, Republicans get happy. You say this, liberals get happy. I don't know. It's like, that's like theater for people, but it's all good. I don't think he's like a bad guy or anything. I don't think he's like a freedom fighter, because here's the thing too. Enes Kanter, freedom, he says all the generic Republican uniparty talking points, but then when COVID was here, he was using liberal talking points. He was saying, I don't want unvaccinated players to sweat on me and breathe on me like that. This is Mr. Freedom. Mr. Freedom calls out Iran and China just like every Republican and Democrat, but he doesn't want unvaccinated people to sweat on him. Look it up. It's like, why am I one of the only ones who sees through this? Why is like every Republican influencer so generic? They're like, look how great this guy is. He's so free because he says what I want him to say. It's like, yawn, yawn. I've seen through it. Someone said, hit the like. I appreciate it. Thank you. Do our votes count? I think so. But, life is not fair and everything's not fair. So I think you gotta work extra hard. If the system's working against you, I think you can vote, but I think your vote does count. But you got to not just like sit and listen to Trump and play the victim and not make any attempt to get other people to agree with you, because then you're going to lose, and then you're going to play the victim again, and then you're never going to figure out why it's happening. And it's going to be this cycle of just like controlled demolition on Republicans. But also, I think your vote counts in certain ways, but in certain ways it doesn't count. And in my view, the way it doesn't count is because there's certain things that no president, including Trump, DeSantis, or RFK will do. And that's why your vote doesn't count. But if you notice, RFK, Trump, and DeSantis don't talk about that because essentially they're in on it. So they'll run you around these other narratives about how the election isn't fair, but they won't tell you the main reason that it isn't fair is because no matter which one of those people win, there's certain policy objectives and certain people that will always get their way because they're all subservient to that. So, in many ways, your vote does count. In many ways, it doesn't. But the average, I would say, conversation going on in Republican circles is like a very sophomoric analysis of why your vote does or doesn't count. And that's the thing. It's like you can get the gist of like the border's open, and obviously that's terrible, but they won't tell you why your border's open, and they won't tell you that the Republicans who claim to close the border don't close the border. They don't build the wall, they don't fill the gaps, and they wait 3.5 years to pass a new law that says illegal immigration is illegal. Like, I'm offended that, I need a safe space. I'm offended. No, but I'm offended that Governor Abbott is trying to pass a new law now. It's 3 years into Biden's presidency. It's almost been 3.25. Like, and now you're going to do it? Like, whether it works or doesn't, why would you wait this long to do that? Like, what? You have to be in on it. You know what I'm saying? It's like if people were like jumping through your window every day for 3 years, and I sat there on my hands being like, I'm doing the best I can. And then like right at the end, after like 3 years of your house getting robbed, I'm like, you know what? Now I'll make bars on the window. And it's like, why didn't you do that before? It's like, I could have, I just didn't. That's the truth. It's like, whatever I'm doing now, I could have done then. I just didn't for whatever reason. Like, if he can do it now, he could have done it then. If he can't do it now, he can't do it then. So why is he even saying it? It's like, I don't see the Republican Party the same way everybody else does. And nobody wants to like say it that way. Like, I followed this guy on Instagram, the typical liberal, and he posted something. He's a conservative. He makes fun of liberals, but he posted a thing where it was like Ted Cruz is like blasting Christopher Wray. It's like, whoa, Ted Cruz is really sticking it to Chris Wray. And it's like, I don't see that the same way everyone else sees it. I see it as like Trump hired Christopher Wray. Trump hired Christopher Wray because Chris Christie told him to. Trump admitted he hired Christopher Wray because Chris Christie told him to. Yet Trump calls Chris Christie fat, and he called him fat in 2015, which proves that Trump calling him names is just like a little comedy circus for his base to not realize he's working with Chris Christie. Ted Cruz is an idiot who said that only vaccinated people should be able to take their masks off on airplanes 2 years after the lockdown. He's a total loser. And now he's putting on a little show for the guy that his party hired, and they've taken no accountability for. It's like, how is that impressive? Like, wow, it's okay, I guess. It's better than a Democrat, but that's really all they could do for you is like they're better than Democrats. I don't know. I'm just like bored of it. But at the same time, there are stories that intrigue me and interest me, and I try to get my passion from there. But as far as like the zone that everybody else is kept in, I guess I'm just like not really seeing it the same way. And it's been like years of me not seeing it the same way, which is not convenient for social circles, but whatever. It works for the people that get it. I think it's like a breath of fresh air. They're like, oh, Nomley gets it. Someone said I deleted Instagram, Facebook. How are you? Oh, you're on YouTube. I was like, how are you watching this then? Someone said Trump has been trying to duplicate 2016 since then. Yes, it's a new year though. I mean, Biden's so bad though that he might just win because Biden sucks. It's like I think both candidates are just like praying that everybody hates the other one. I think Trump is well loved, but he's also hated. Biden's not well loved, but Trump is hated by some. I think they're both playing off each other of like, look at him. That's going to be the debate if RFK's on stage. Look at him. No, look at him. No, look at him. No, look at him. And then Americans have to decide which one they hate less, and we'll see. Trump's the favorite so far. So that seems to be what the polls are thinking, but that stuff clearly doesn't always work, the polls, but that's what they're saying now. Someone said common sense skeptic channel. Yeah. Now I want to say this too, before I leave. I want to keep this one pretty brief if I can. I'm trying to do my best work. I say like, just so people don't get confused, I try to do news analysis. If I could best describe what I think I'm doing or what I'm trying to do or what I do, depending how you look at it, I think the media tangles everybody left and right, red and blue, social justice, this and that, patriotism, all this stuff. And patriotism's good. I'm just saying they use it to like trick you sometimes. They're like MAGA, and then they do something crazy. But everything's tangled in a million knots. And with my news analysis, I'm trying to untangle it. I can't tell you everything to think. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm trying to untangle the mess of lies. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to analyze the news. Most people don't do that. They're professional Democrats, or they're professional Republicans, or they're professional Trump supporters. They're professional DeSantis supporters, and they serve a certain political unit. You know what I'm saying? I don't serve a political unit. I can't be bought out. I'm not going to endorse somebody and now I'm not able to say it. I'm not going to go hang out with some people to the point where now I'm not going to get invited if I say the truth, and I'm afraid to say the truth. That's what I'm trying to do, and it's different from what a lot of other people are trying to do, and they don't get it. Sometimes they'll be like, well, you supported Trump so much, what happened? It's like I was always analyzing the news, and from 2016 to most of 2019, Trump was doing a pretty damn good job. There were things that I could nitpick, and there were things I disagreed with, but I'm not really a nitpicker. I'm not somebody that likes to nitpick. But then in 2019, it's like he said he's never signed the omnibus bill. He signed it again. I thought that was whack. I talked about it. He passed the speech laws with DeSantis. I thought that was whack. I talked about it in 2019. And in 2020, the lockdown was insane. And now I'm not nitpicking anymore. And then Operation Warp Speed was an $18 billion socialist scam. And I talked about it. So it's like, I'm not a nitpicker. And when Trump was crushing, I was explaining to people that he's not doing that bad of a job. He's doing a lot of liberal things for liberals. He's doing a lot of generic things. And in general, he makes more sense than the left. And those were all my videos. I wasn't being a Trump coattail rider just to ride Trump's coattails. I did it because it was the right thing to do. And he deserved the support from all the people that were lying about him. Now, I haven't really changed. Of course, I've evolved and learned some new things and stuff. But it's like when the Republican Party turns on me or Trump turns on me, I don't turn on the American citizens because I'm part of that team. I stand with the American citizens. And I'm like, no, that's whack. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to do journalism and news analysis. So people misconstrue it because 99% of people in this game are just professional team players. And that's why sometimes what I'm saying seems so like out of the loop. Like, why aren't you doing that? because I don't do that. I don't work for these people. I don't want to work for these people. I want to support the people who are righteous. Thomas Massey has never given me a cent or even, it's like I support Thomas Massey because I believe that he's the most ethical person in Congress. And if Thomas Massey turned and became the worst person in Congress, I have no problem calling it out. It's just, I think he's done a pretty stellar job over the last 5 years. So I support him. And it's like when Trump was crushing, I say he's crushing. When DeSantis is doing good things outside of the things I disagree with, I say that also. That's what I'm trying to do. Analyze the news fairly, honestly, and accurately to the best of my ability. I can't always do it. I'm not saying it's perfect, but that's what I'm attempting to do. And most people aren't attempting that. And I do want to tell you too, in this world, it's a business. A lot of people, they depend on their livelihoods, including me. And you got to understand that a lot of people know what I'm saying is true. They just don't want to say it because they're going to lose their business. Their business is aligned with Trump, or their business is aligned with the Republican Party, or some of these organizations that pay them or provide their infrastructure to get paid. So they're deathly afraid of going against the agenda of even their side, which is kind of like when you're at a left-wing corporation and you're afraid of going against that. Me, I don't care. I've benefited from not caring. In some places, I probably lost 6 figures from not caring, but that's how I am. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to ride with the consequences, whether they're good or bad. And I'm just being transparent about what I'm attempting to do, just so people don't get confused and falsely accuse me of stuff. You can, it's just like, that's where I come from. And that's always how I came. I didn't come from a conservative background where I was just conservative. And I didn't come from a left-wing Democrat background. When I was talking about Bernie versus Hillary and Trump and all this stuff, I was trying to be as fair as I could, not just like pick a team and run with it. And I've made my mistakes and learned my lessons about trusting politicians too much at certain points. So I don't do that anymore. Someone said, you're not transparent. Quit taking money from fools. Who do you think I'm taking money from? Name one person I'm taking money from. When I point out that politicians take money from big donors and take hundreds of millions of dollars, people project onto me and say that I'm doing that when they like those politicians. So if I could point out that your favorite politician literally took $1 million from Pfizer and hired the pharmaceutical swamp like Trump did, then people will say to me, oh, who paid you to say that? No, like, who do you think's paying to say stuff like that? I don't think there is a fund for people that do that. I think you just lose money when you do that. Like, it's not profitable at all. And there's no one that wants to pay you to read you could read on opensecrets.org yourself. It's like, I'm just curious. Someone said, I'll take some money. Well, I took money from that super chat. I don't know who that was, but whoever gave me the $50, I'll take that. I don't know. How crazy would it be if like a big donor came on and just did like $1 million super chat, but then YouTube would get so much money out of that? They'd take like 600, they'd probably take like 400K of that, but that would be crazy. I'd be like, whoa, $1 million super chat. Appreciate you guys. Just kidding. But all right, I'm going to take off, folks. God bless you. Thank you for watching. And I want to tell you, if anybody buys merch for December, I have a little deal that I thought of. We have stickers and we sell a pack for $7.77. But in general, if you buy one piece of my merch on dreamrare.com, we're going to include a free sticker. And if you buy 2 or more, we're going to give you the whole sticker pack. So just a little extra stuff for December. The stickers are pretty cool. Check them out. But that's the deal, dreamrare.com. Check it out. We got blue beanies, black beanies. We got not that many blue beanies left if you wanted one. I think it's under 50. I'm not sure. Black beanies, I bought a bunch because I think that those are more popular. And the God is Great sweatshirts, I haven't checked, but those are selling pretty hard. And there's a limited amount of those. I would guess there's under like 40 left or 30. I'm not really sure. There could be less, there could be more, but I bought a finite amount of those. I know how much I bought because I pay for it myself. And yeah, the blue beanies are going to sell out soon. The pink hats are already sold out. The white God bless hats are sold out. My classic white one. And the sweatshirts are going to sell out eventually, probably by the end of December. So if you want that stuff now, get it now. There's a deal. And after this merch sale, I'm really trying to sell more stuff and like up what I have. It's just the more you sell, it's hard. And, I don't want to get on a big rant now, but government regulations, like I want to sell certain products and it's like, I got to register it. I got to pay. Like selling merch is pretty easy, but like selling other things that I want to sell, it's like such a headache. It's such a hassle. And I got to like pay money, get a certification. And it's like, the government is so gross. I get it though. They want to make sure that people are legit, but it's not fun. I don't like paying and registering for things, but appreciate you. God bless. And dreamrare.com. Check out the stuff. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, Stay Blessed long sleeve, God is Great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk for $5 a month. You can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded, uninterrupted. I'm forever grateful. My free email list is stayintouchwithme.com, so check the links below in the description or just type in on any browser stayintouchwithme.com, all one word. You'll find my email list, put it in there, and it's the least annoying email list you'll ever be on. I barely use it because I don't like getting emailed every day or every week. It's annoying, so I don't do it. Stayintouchwithme.com. It helps me take back some power away from big tech. Telegram, t.me/dreamrarechat or @dreamrarechat. Due to censorship, I post all my live stream and videos there. Sometimes I have some bonus content, and I try to give people a heads up when Facebook or YouTube won't. Dreamrare Chat at Telegram. My Instagram is @dreamrare. Thanks for everybody following there for shorter content. And dreamrarelinks.com, that's dreamrarelinks.com, has all my stuff. My podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, my music on Spotify and Apple, my Rumble page, my BitChute and Gab page. All my links are found at dreamrarelinks.com. Thanks for watching, folks. God